once again, and welcome to This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. On this week's presentation, we bring you highlights of Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa's activities this past week. This week we'll be focusing mainly on his outreaches to Region 3, the west coast of Demerara, and later on in Wakenham. Again, the purpose of these outreaches is sharing the good news about the allocations in the 2024 national budget and how those funds will be used to advance the cause of agriculture in Guyana and to promote the business of agriculture for our farmers wherever they might be all across the length and breadth of Guyana. This week, of course, being a week for the lovers, I want to take this opportunity to extend Valentine's greetings to all of you on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, on behalf of the Minister, to each and every one of you clean loving this week. We will be back after these messages.
Over the last 10 years, seed treatment has been proven to be very effective in protecting rice plants from damage by early season pests, such as water weevils, leaf miners, and caterpillars. This protection can last for up to 30 days. In so doing, it allows for better establishment of the rice plants and later no bare spots in the field. Seed treatment also negates the need for using harmful pesticides during the first 30 days of the crop and therefore allows the buildup of beneficial insects such as the ladybird beetle, damselflies, dragonflies, and spiders, which will later prove useful against paddy bugs at every stage of their life cycle. Seed treatment involves the application of fipronil at 20% soluble concentrate in a spray can to germinated seed. The mix is 1 liter of fipronil to 2.5 gallons of water.
Rabies is a disease that is almost always fatal, but is 100% preventable. It is a disease that affects humans and all other warm-blooded animals. The GLDA wishes to stress that a rabies outbreak can result in the deaths of the animals, inclusive of horses, cattle, and small ruminants, leading to economic losses. Further, rabies is a zoonotic disease and can be transmitted to humans, resulting in fatalities. The GLDA is urging cattle farmers, especially those in regions 2, 3, 6, and 9, to vaccinate all their animals that are 3 months and older against rabies immediately and on a yearly basis. A message from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, Ministry of Agriculture.
Farmers and the members of the public in general are being advised that tampering with drainage and irrigation structures in any way is prohibited under the Drainage and Irrigation Act. So too are practices that result in damage to access dams, such as using an inadequate length of tube to irrigate farmlands, resulting in erosion of the earthen dams. Also contrary to the Drainage and Irrigation Act is the practice of erecting structures or planting on government reserves. This will not be condoned. These reserves are to be clear at all times to provide access for the excavation of the channels. Livestock farmers should also be aware that they are liable for any damages caused by their cattle or swine to dams or reserves alongside D&I channels, as is the case when the animals cross these channels. Individuals wishing to erect bridges across D&I structures should first contact the NDIA before doing so. Those found guilty under the Act are liable to fines and imprisonment for up to 3 months. A message from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture. We begin this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture by telling you that what the budget passed, the business of meetings with citizens to explain the interventions and planned projects across the country this year, is now underway in earnest. Ministers of government have been fanning out across the country, engaging with the communities, explaining the works of the various ministries. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has also been out meeting with farming communities, explaining the interventions planned for the development of agriculture in all of its forms. On this edition, we bring you highlights of his outreaches to Region 3 and to the island of Wakenham. The first outreach was to the west coast of Demerara, where 3 meetings were held, the first at Port Royne and the other 2 at Windsor Forest and at La Jalousie.
At Port Royal, Minister Mustafa told the gathering that their community and every other community across the country is earmarked for massive infrastructure development in the area of agriculture. He said ever-improving drainage and irrigation and support for farmers will be ramped up. The Agriculture Minister, however, stressed that to understand the provisions of the 2024 national budget, residents must be reminded of the investments and resultant developments in every sector that has brought us to the level of development we are enjoying today.
As a government, we have seen tremendous improvement in all the sectors. And I will speak a little bit on agriculture too, because you would know that we have seen a renewed interest in the agriculture sector. Whilst coming in, I saw many farmers at the back there, so they would want to know what we are doing and how we want to help them, how we can help them. But the budget that we are talking about recently passed last week, Friday. We have seen the largest budget in the history of our country, $1.146 trillion. First time we have $1 trillion budget. And why I'm mentioning these, because in this budget there are package of measures that will improve people's life over the next year. And we have targeted all the areas, all the sectors. For example, this year we'll be spending $129.9 billion in the health sector. What that means? That means right now as I'm speaking, we are constructing new hospitals across this country. We know for a fact that we have to improve what we have, but we are constructing state-of-the-art hospitals across this country. The same service that you go to Georgetown to experience, the same service that you go to things like CT scan, things like ultrasound, MRI, these hospitals that we are building now will be equipped with all those facilities, because we are being partnering with a company in the United States, and that company is helping us to set up the system in place. Because what we have now in Guyana, the investment that we are making it to ensure that Guyana move up the bracket in the world in terms of development to take place. So in the health sector, there will be tremendous improvement over the next few months, over the next part of the year. And you in Region 3 here are slated for massive development, not only in the health sector or the education sector, but economically. Transformation that I am talking about, transformation that have already been taking place in terms of modernizing your region, making your regions more modern. For example, you know for a fact when you travel to Georgetown, the bridge closed. You have to wait at least 1.5 hours. When, as a government, and you look at these things, those man hours gone into waste, because you can't do any other thing than wait on the bridge to reopen. So what we will be doing, we have already started construction of a 4-lane high-span bridge. So people from Region 3 going to Georgetown would not have to wait anymore for cross. You're driving right across Region 3. That is the vision, because you see, let me tell you, when you have these impediment, blockage, stopping people from moving freely, you lost a lot of manpowers. And when you lost those manpowers, you counted how many thousand persons from Region 3 going across to Georgetown, and how many people, a person coming back over to Region 3, and check the amount of man hours and put it into productive hours, and see how many productive hours we're losing. You have to go to Georgetown, you have to go before the bridge opens. You have to wait, if you go there, you have to wait for the bridge to 1.5 hours. When you go across now to the East Bank, you're taking almost 2 hours and an hour to meet in Georgetown if you go during the peak period, the peak hours during the morning or in the afternoon. What we have done, we have now built a brand new 4-lane from Mandela right on to Diamond, and that is moving now to Busby Dam and later on to the highway. So all those manpower, man hours that we used to lose, we'll save those now. So you could go within a couple of minutes to Georgetown, do your business and come back to and continue your work. Those are the kind of development that we're talking about. In the education sector, when we went to the election in 2020, we said we will make 20,000 scholarships available to Guyanese. And what we have done in less or just over 3 years, we have delivered to the people of this country 21,000 scholarships to young Guyanese. So those are achievements for us. You might not see it, but those things what we are doing are moving our country and developing our country rapidly, because right now our country is moving in different direction and moving fast. We will see massive development, as I said, in all the sectors. In the water sector, education sector, housing. Housing has been a success story for us. Since we got back into government, thousands of house lots and new housing scheme we have built for the people in our country. But coming back, you might want to know what you will get as the persons that directly, because health will benefit the entire country. Education will benefit the entire country. Scholarship are those persons, that 21,000 persons who would have received scholarship, they have benefited.
Minister Mustafa said that while there are those who would say the budget has nothing for the people, this is actually a misrepresentation of what is really there for the people, all of the people of Guyana. He stressed that currently $850 million in free fertilizer is being delivered to farmers around the country, to cash crop and rice farmers who, for one reason or another, suffered losses due to a number of factors. This is but one of the measures in place intended to bring ease to the challenges being faced by citizens.
Public assistance, old age pension, NIS pension, invalidity benefits, survivors pension, all those pensions, all those benefits have been increased and moved further, so that those persons who are receiving these benefits have now had an increase in these benefits. We also look at the income tax threshold. The income tax threshold, we have moved it to $100,000. That will exclude 13,000 workers will not pay income tax. How we move the threshold now. So those people will save the taxes they used to pay before the implementation, before the beginning of this year. So we can have less people in the tax bracket. But the development that we are talking about to modernize our country will be tremendous. For example, right here in Region 3, we are looking at the construction of the gas-to-shore project, energy project. When that project comes on stream, the benefit there will be tremendous. First of all, the electricity rate will drop by 50%. Imagine what you are paying now, you will pay only 50% of that cost. The reliability of the electricity will be good. We will have more reliable electricity. All the blackouts that we experience, we will not have those kind of blackouts because of the natural gas. We are producing it ourselves and convert it to electricity. Cooking gas will drop. The price for cooking gas will drop tremendously because we will also bottle the gas for cooking gas. And then we are looking to build a fertilizer plant. Imagine if Guyana can build its own fertilizer plant. You ask the rice farmers who are here, how much money they got to pay for fertilizer. Not so long ago, they used to pay $12,000 and so for a bag of fertilizer. $12,000, $13,000 for a bag of fertilizer. Many farmers had to give up planting because of the cost, the input cost. That is why we decided that we will make fertilizers available, because that input is one of the highest input costs for rice production. Ladies, women, our women folks in this country, cervical cancer testing. There are that problem amongst young women in our country. We are also paying for that testing. So you can go get yourself test free of cost, that the government will pay the cost for you. So all these benefits you might not know are in the budget, right? And I think that you also ensure that you know so you could access these benefits. Many times too, many times when we send down things to the area, many times people are complaining that they are not receiving it too. But these, nobody had to give you these. You must know about it and you can go and get these benefits. Right? You could go and get and receive these benefits. So whilst the agriculture sector for me, which will be expending this year $97.97 billion, you have the other sectors. You have the transformation of our country. You have hundreds, thousands of community roads that are being built right now across this country. Many areas that had mud dams are now being rehabilitated and coming to modern concrete roads, asphaltic roads. These where the areas now are becoming more accessible to people in the community. We are also looking to ensure that the other infrastructures, public buildings, we improve on them, we rehabilitate them, we build new public buildings. Right? I mentioned what will be in Region 3. We already have a lot of development taking place in the oil and gas sector right here in Region 3. You have the artificial island that was built recently, right? You have I talk about the bridge, talk about gas to shore energy project, talk about a fertilizer plant.
Across at Windsor Forest, the Agriculture Minister told the gathering that true to their nature, the opposition is questioning the massive sums allocated for the development of infrastructure.
The opposition is questioning us why we are putting so much money into the infrastructure. Because you want to modernize your country, you want Guyana to move forward. You know they want us to remain backward, remain a third world country and with no development, and continue to experience the problems that we have been experiencing in terms of traveling and traversing and communicating across the country. But as a government, we have a vision to ensure that we modernize our country, build infrastructure, we build road, we build connection, we build institutions that will help the people of our country, health institution, we improve on education. So all these things are in our agenda to continue to build. Right here in Region 3, we are now constructing the gas to shore energy project. When that is completed, that will be a tremendous boost for your region and the entire country. We'll reduce the cost for electricity by 50% when that is completed and we start to produce gas. But the opposition and some naysayers are going against it. They are saying that we should leave the oil in the earth. Don't extract the oil, leave the oil there. They say we will get earthquake and we will get landslide when we extract the oil from the earth. That's the kind of naysayers. Countries like the whole of Middle East, you're not finding all the earthquake what they want to talk about. We got oil since centuries ago. Now we are taking out some of the oil that we have. And they are complaining. And then this project that I'm talking about, the gas to shore energy project, a lot of benefit, not only electricity, not only cost will reduce, not only reliable electricity, but what? Cooking gas also will reduce tremendously because we will produce cooking gas there. So a lot of households who are buying cooking gas now for high cost, that will reduce tremendously.
At La Jealousy on the west coast of Demerara, Minister Mustafa urged residents and farmers to count on government's support in making their lives better day after day and not be distracted by the noise coming from the opposition.
I want to begin by saying, as a people, we must always reiterate and we must always say, never allow what happened to our freedom, what happened to our democracy, to ever happen to us again. You all remember, in 2020, for 5 months, our freedom were denied us because the government at that time wanted, at any means, at any cost, to take control of a country. We must ensure that that never happens again. We must always have democracy. And when we have democracy, we'll have healthy debate. We can have issues, ventilate. You can raise your concerns. You can say what are your concerns and we will try to deal with it in a holistic way. But we will never deny you your freedom. We will never deny you your access to services that is being extended by government to the people of our country. So I want to say that. But we have witnessed what we have witnessed. We have witnessed a massive transformation of our country over the last 3 years.
Later in the week, Minister Mustafa and the team traveled to the island of Wakenham for meetings with residents there. And again, it was about the 2024 national budget and what's in store for the island's development this year. Minister Mustafa stressed that the PPPC government is one that listens to the ordinary citizens and acts on their concerns right away.
And any responsible government will confront those challenges. You heard the Comrade Asif just spoke about it. We are not hiding from the people. We are not abdicating our responsibility towards the people of this country. We never said that things like what you are doing, your activities, your economic activities, your way you doing cash crop farming, livestock rearing, rice farming. We never said those things are private business, although you are doing it. We are encouraging you to produce more, because when you produce, not only you sell your produce and you earn more money, but at the same time the country gains because the country produces more product. The cost of these produce will become cheaper. We will have more produce in the country to export and bring in foreign revenue. For example, in the rice industry last year, we produced 653,000 metric tons. We moved from 610 in 2022 to 653 in 2023. That shows because when you look in the world market today, many countries like India now, they are reducing their grains that they normally sell on the world market. And we are seeing more demands for our produce. So that is why we want to produce. And our aim is to ensure shortly that we produce 1,000,000 metric tons of rice in this country. And this year, 2024, the target is set at 710,000 metric tons. Why we are doing this? We could have said that, okay, we have island gas. And island gas will bring in the revenue into the country. And we will get the revenue coming out of island gas, like the previous government what they said. Never put any emphasis on agriculture. They de-emphasized agriculture. You heard Comrade Asif said, from 2015 to 2020, we have seen the agriculture sector in this country decline rapidly, very rapidly, for 5 years only. And I always make this point. Guyana was one of the founding countries in CARICOM. You had Guyana, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica. And when they signed on to the treaty to form CARICOM, the Treaty of Chaguaramas, the 4 leaders at that time, decided that they will lead in different sectors. Like Eric Williams from Trinidad said he will ensure we lead in the energy sector and the oil and gas sector, because that sector was moving rapidly in Trinidad and Tobago. The other leaders said they will lead in other sectors. Guyana said, we will lead in agriculture. And since 1973, Guyana always lead on agriculture. Every single president in our country has taken the lead to lead on agriculture in CARICOM. But from 2015 to 2020, we had lost that place. We lost that place to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You know why? Because the government de-emphasized agriculture.
Before leaving Wickenham, the Agriculture Minister hosted a brief ceremony during which he handed over to the farmers of the island a promised long-reach excavator for use by them. The excavator, which had been promised to them by His Excellency President Dr. Irfaan Ali during a visit last November, will be used to further assist with drainage and irrigation works on the island. Farmers of the island expressed warm appreciation for the President's swift action in securing for them the requested machinery. Over the last 10 years, seed treatment has been proven to be very effective in protecting rice plants from damage by early season pests, such as water weevils, leaf miners, and caterpillars. This protection can last for up to 30 days. In so doing, it allows for better establishment of the rice plants and later no bare spots in the field. Seed treatment also negates the need for using harmful pesticides during the first 30 days of the crop and therefore allows the buildup of beneficial insects such as the ladybird beetle, damselflies, dragonflies, and spiders, which will later prove useful against paddy bugs at every stage of their life cycle. Seed treatment involves the application of fipronil at 20% soluble concentrate in a spray can to germinated seed. The mix is 1 liter of fipronil to 2.5 gallons of water.
Rabies is a disease that is almost always fatal, but is 100% preventable. It is a disease that affects humans and all other warm-blooded animals. The GLDA wishes to stress that a rabies outbreak can result in the deaths of the animals, inclusive of horses, cattle, and small ruminants, leading to economic losses. Further, rabies is a zoonotic disease and can be transmitted to humans, resulting in fatalities. The GLDA is urging cattle farmers, especially those in regions 2, 3, 6, and 9, to vaccinate all their animals that are 3 months and older against rabies immediately and on a yearly basis. A message from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, Ministry of Agriculture.
Farmers and the members of the public in general are being advised that tampering with drainage and irrigation structures in any way is prohibited under the Drainage and Irrigation Act. So too are practices that result in damage to access dams, such as using an inadequate length of tube to irrigate farmlands, resulting in erosion of the earthen dams. Also contrary to the Drainage and Irrigation Act is the practice of erecting structures or planting on government reserves. This will not be condoned. These reserves are to be clear at all times to provide access for the excavation of the channels. Livestock farmers should also be aware that they are liable for any damages caused by their cattle or swine to dams or reserves alongside D&I channels, as is the case when the animals cross these channels. Individuals wishing to erect bridges across D&I structures should first contact the NDIA before doing so. Those found guilty under the Act are liable to fines and imprisonment for up to 3 months. A message from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture.
Well, that's all the time we have on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Ministry of Agriculture, Communications Unit, and of course produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and Advertising based in East Berbice. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. Until next time then, be good to yourselves and to each other.